This has been so much fun. We welcome you into our third episode of the Penn State Baseball Show. Brian Tripp and Tyler Millen will talk about the team's trip to Stanford. Adam Cecere is going to be our guest this week on the program. Penn State took 2 of 3 from the Cardinal, a team that has been to 3 straight College World Series. I know a little bit younger of a team this year, but a really impressive road trip going all the way out to the West Coast. Coming up this week, 4 games at Davidson, then taking on a top 25 team in Virginia on Tuesday. But Tyler, a really impressive weekend. We're going to get to Adam here in just a second, but a really impressive weekend against the Cardinal.
Absolutely. You mentioned it, Brian. This is a team that dominated at the plate in its opening 2 games against the Cardinal. This is an offense that was really establishing its identity this weekend. Really strong poised at bats, especially from guys like Adam Cecere, who you got to speak with. But JT Marr, 4 for 6 with 2 RBIs in the opening 15-4 win over Stanford. Grant Norris, 3 for 4 with a 3-run home run in the second game. Adam Cecere was 2 for 3 in that game with his own 2-run blast. And Bryce Molinaro, another guy that had a really strong weekend at the plate for Penn State, had a home run in that second game. But 15 runs, 13 hits, 17 walks in the opening game against Stanford. 5 Nittany Lions reached base at least 4 times, and 7 Penn State players recorded at least an RBI. 17 walks is the most in a Penn State game since 2004, and it's the 3rd most in a Division I game this year. Really impressive at-bats from Penn State this weekend, and that translated over the first 2 games.
Yeah, and you can't forget about strong pitching in those first 2 games as well. And I think you're looking at to go on the road and take 2 of 3, really impressive. And when you're doing that, the productivity, look, you're going to have a lineup. Guys have different skill sets, but there's still a mentality and an approach that you have to bring to the plate each time. And I think you're seeing that. And when you have your 8, 9-hole hitters, and granted, right, you're still trying to find those puzzle pieces early in the year. If everyone in the lineup can be a threat as they were this past weekend, that makes for a really dangerous and deep team. And also, you're getting confidence going early in the season. So I think those are all really, really good things. Adam Cecere, our guest this week on the show. Let's get to it here on the Penn State Baseball Show. Adam, thanks so much for the time. Congrats on a great start to the year.
I appreciate you having me on today. I'm really excited about the start that we've had so far.
Yeah, you mentioned that start going 3-1 down in Cary and then going out to Stanford and taking 2 of 3 from a team that was in the College World Series that you played against last year in the College World Series. What do you feel like that series meant for your team? It's a tough trip to go all the way out to the West Coast, but to come out of there with a couple of wins.
Yeah, I mean, we just want to take it, and we have been taking it as a game-by-game approach, no matter where we're at and sort of who we're playing. That's Coach Gambino's kind of mantra and motto that he's been preaching to us. Every day is a new day, and the next game is the most important game. So to go out there, especially with how difficult sometimes that travel can be, and come home with a series victory, you're never going to complain about that.
What is your role as a leader and taking the ownership and the accountability inside that locker room to really buy into that message from Coach Gambino, right? New staff, a bunch of moving parts, different faces. Where do you feel like you've emerged and how as a leader for the ball club?
I think that I've seen a lot of baseball in my day, and I've played a lot of college baseball in my day. I've been through a lot of good, and I've been through a lot of bad. And I know that the voices in the clubhouse are really only as strong as like it's what you think about the coaching staff, if that makes sense. The first voices that are getting relayed to the players on an everyday basis are just as valuable as what the coaching staff is going to teach you. If the guys are buying into what the coaches are saying and echoing it, that's how you can sort of buy into that day-by-day approach.
What was it about the opportunity to come back home to Pennsylvania from Forest Hills High School down in Johnstown to come back home to PA and play for Penn State?
It was the summer was quite a whirlwind for me. To first of all graduate from school was the number one priority. So we got that done down at Wake Forest, and we played deep into the summer. And then obviously with Omaha being so late in the summer, the decision had to be made pretty quickly. And I was pretty familiar with Coach Gambino and the staff that he was bringing in, just based on some other mutual connections. And I knew a couple of the players on Penn State's team already. So I thought that the combination of those two would set me up for a successful graduate year.
And talk about that graduate year first. Still intending to study real estate law? Is that what you're studying here at Penn State?
Yeah, I'm in the real estate law graduate certificate.
Why did you choose that?
Out of the certificate, so I wanted to get done in 1 year,
Mhm.
and the certificates were kind of my only option for that, especially like I said, with how delayed my recruitment process was
Yep.
this summer. So I picked the one that honestly sounded the most interesting out of the certificates, and we went along with it. I've learned a good bit. I've learned a good bit from it, actually. I honestly.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. You mentioned the familiarity with Coach Gambino. Did that start from just being an opponent of them in the ACC? Where did that familiarity come from? And what impressed you always about his ball clubs that he had up in Boston College?
Yeah, we'd never had a personal relationship before
Mhm.
this year, and but really just playing Boston College from a year in and year out basis, I got a little familiar with Coach Gambino and how at least it seemed that he operated his squad, and that
Mhm.
was with just a really gritty approach to the game, a game like I mentioned before, a game by game process. It didn't matter if you beat them on the first day or not. They were coming back the second day just as tough, and they were coming back the third day just as tough. So I think there was something about uh, their mentality and their work ethic there at Boston College that you could see as an opponent that it made it appealing to want to come play for
Yeah, why do you feel like that fits with your persona?
them. I think it fits with the Sidman area, Johnstown area
Yeah.
pretty well. Pretty blue collar area, kind of a get down and work mentality that I grew up with from my parents and kind of family members and friends as well. So I think it's the way I've been raised, and I think it ties on to what Coach preaches a lot.
Your dad played baseball at Pitt. What type of impact did he have on your baseball career?
Basically, basically all of it. My dad is probably he's obviously tied for number one supporter between him and my mother. And with the amount of effort that they've both put in my athletic career, he's played the biggest role that I've had. He still comes to every game. He still gives his opinion on every game, and he just all he wants is to try to get the best out of me. And that's it. And once you recognize that, uh, it goes from criticism, getting mad at him, to taking it the right way and understanding what you can do with some valuable information.
I've followed your career for a little while. I was actually calling high school football games for Friday night rivals back in the day, and you were an outstanding football player, basketball player, and baseball player down there in the Johnstown area for Forest Hills High School. Why did you end up settling on baseball, and what have you enjoyed about this process for you?
Why did I settle on baseball? That's a question that sometimes I don't exactly always know the answer to, because
Yeah.
I did like all three, and I really really enjoyed playing all three. I wasn't the basketball player that I was baseball and football player, and I honestly the opportunities I was getting in baseball seemed more appealing to me than the opportunities I was getting in football, and I found myself in a really good spot with Johnstown native Coach Walter down at Wake Forest. So that's kind of how baseball happened. I developed that relationship, and I really just enjoyed the game, and I thought that that was the best option for me.
How did your years at Wake Forest, and obviously had that unbelievable season last year going to the College World Series? You talk about all the experiences you've had in the sport. How do you feel like that sets you up for a great year here at Penn State? Not only what you want to accomplish and your dreams in baseball, but also going back to what we started the conversation with, where you can share those experiences with your teammates, where it's that team first mentality as well.
Yeah, I feel like I've just been through it all. Not to get too deep into it, but 2020, uh, I obviously go from Pennsylvania down to North Carolina, and then get sent back home in
Mhm.
the beginning of my first season, and then my second season, I get COVID and miss about 25, 30 days of the season. And then the following year we win 40 games, and the following year we win 50 games. So I've kind of been through the ringer with getting beat up, missing time, and then being being on a really good team. And I know what it looks like when things are about to spiral, and I know what it looks like when things are headed in the right direction. And really all I'm trying to do is just help guide that and help guide the younger guys who are going to be around Coach Gambino for years to come.
You mentioned you have a feel when things are going in the right direction. I know the season's young. I know the Coach Gambino era here at Penn State is young, but it seems like this is a group that's really enjoyed growing together. What do you like about the direction of the team right now?
What I like about the direction of the team is how much we're caring about one another. And it's a super cliche thing to hear, but when it's real, it's real. And we really are picking each other up and caring about how one another are doing, not just in baseball wise, but like every single day wise, mental health, schoolwork, weight room, on the field, all those different kind of things. And when you really actually care about each other, things can always, you're there for each other, and you want to see your teammate do better, which leads obviously to team success.
33 runs in a series at Stanford is pretty incredible. 31 hits in the series. Obviously, the plate discipline that the team had, especially on Friday with 17 walks as a team. What did you like about the overall approach, not just of yourself, but your team there at the plate?
What I really liked about this past series is obviously Stanford's a national brand, and Penn State's also a national brand, and we're working on growing from a baseball standpoint. But we had some fans out there as well. Penn State's always going to attract the fandom and the fan base. But what I liked is we were kind of playing nameless, faceless baseball. We were just playing the game the right way, playing really hard. Didn't matter who we were playing or what the score was. And I think that usually leads to good things whenever you stay focused on playing the game the right way.
Are you wearing a target on your back to start the season? 6 hit by pitches already?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am. But I'll take it.
Yeah, any way you can get on base, right? 667 on base percentage so far.
Yeah, crowding the plate maybe, I guess, a little too much, but they're coming after me. They're coming after me early. So hopefully some of those pitches start headed down the middle of the plate and not at my body.
What did your double came at a big time on Friday. It feels like this is a team that has a knack right now in close games. I know the scores ended up a little bit more lopsided Friday and Saturday, but those were games where you had to battle to get to that point. What do you like about the approach, the way the whole team is handling it, where the margin's slim in a game? We saw that certainly in the opening weekend in Cary.
Yeah, I think that close games are more fun, and
Yeah.
I think everybody agrees with that. When
Yep.
you're coming up to hit in the seventh or the eighth inning, and it's leverage, and they got their best guy going, and you need to get a job done for the team. What else could you really be asking for? You signed up to play high level college baseball, and that's what you get. So I think that wanting the close games and wanting the opportunities to show what you've worked on for months at a time is something that's special about this group, and it's something that we should welcome.
I love hearing that. I think that's such a great mentality to bring onto the field each and every time out. Two more questions for you. Number one, the way JT's going, Joe, Matt, Kyle, what he can do on the base paths. What makes this lineup dangerous? Seems like you got pretty good balance top to bottom, a lot of different skill sets in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. What makes the lineup dangerous? And I don't want to repeat myself, but I think what makes it dangerous is the ability to pass the stick to the next guy. Be
Mhm.
unselfish, take balls, get hit by pitches, bunt at the right time, swing at the right pitches. You really start if you really start approaching the game that way. Then 1 through 9 becomes dangerous no matter who you put in there. And at this time right now, we've got 9 to 11 guys who are clicking pretty good.
All right, I know you said it's one game at a time. What are you looking forward to most about the next four down at Davidson, then a big game against Virginia on Tuesday?
Just playing, man. I mean, it's my fifth year. It's potentially my last year. Anytime I can get out there and lace them up, that's all I'm really ready to do. Anytime, any place.
Adam, appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I didn't get a chance, Tyler. I know you would appreciate this too. I wanted to ask about Kevin Euclid being in the dugout this weekend for the Penn State baseball team as well. But overall, you mentioned some of the stats there early: 33 runs in the series, 31 hits on the offensive side. Two really good starts. Great to see Jaden Henline on the bump and toe the rubber for the first time this season. Travis Linsman and Anthony Steele doing their thing on Friday. It's the first time, and I want to make sure I get this right, so I'm going to look down. The first time since at least 1959, Stanford lost back-to-back home games by 10 or more runs. Paul Marbo, who does a great job in Stratcom, was looking these stats up, and it was the first time since Florida State did that same feat to Stanford in the 2012 Super Regional. So it's something that's really tough to do against that opponent. And I think it's a real confidence. Is it a statement? It's still early. And Adam just shared with us, it's a game by game, at bat by at bat. It's a process oriented approach. But when you have this new group of guys coming together, right? Some of the returnees, transfers, freshmen, coaching staff, it's really nice to see them have some positive feedback in terms of results. And you don't want to be a completely a results-oriented business, but really nice to see them get that positive feedback with the results to match their play early in the season. You hope that momentum, which I believe is a real thing, is something you can keep going this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I was reading a piece in D1Baseball.com today, and he was talking about Adam Cecere and not wasting at-bats. And that's something that Penn State, especially in the first two games of the weekend, did not do at all. And we mentioned that with guys like JT Marr and Cecere and Joe Jakonski, who's hitting 381 on the season. He's got 8 walks, really poised leadoff hitter, and that's what you want, a guy that can set the tone. And in addition to those stats that you mentioned, Penn State has scored 12 or more runs in 3 straight games for the first time since the year 2000. This Penn State offense has a lot of dynamic pieces and a lot of guys that can impact games at really any moment. And that's really what you're looking for.
And you're seeing some of that depth, Mason Horvath, and what you go into now, a 4-game series with Davidson, right? That's when that depth gets tested. Then it really gets tested on Tuesday, going to Virginia. But what a great spring break trip you have coming up. And I just can't wait to see this thing continue to build. And before you know it, Tyler, they're going to be back here at home. And you look at the batter's eye and the video board and the grass going in, the new outfield fence at Medler. Can't wait to see this team get back at home, and hopefully they can keep this thing rolling this week.
Absolutely. The home opener is just a few weeks away, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, with the weather outside, fingers crossed that continues as well. Tyler, appreciate the time as always. Can't wait to see this team continue here during the 2024 season.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.